When you don't want me to talk?
When I'm like over it.
Yeah. Should we just like from now on not even introduce the podcast? Like just into our conversation, what we're talking about.
Yeah. Did you start the video?
The video started.
It's officially starting. Okay.
Let me just double check.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so scared. Like,
Anxious. Okay. Okay. Hey.
So
long time no see.
No, welcome back. Okay. I'm going so unnatural. What's going on?
Well, we could just dive right into our topic because I'm actually excited to talk about it.
Let's do it.
Okay. It's funny. Most of the time when you talk about with secular people about travel or like taking a break from college, it's so not the norm. But
yeah, people. By the way, it's become a thing when people take gap years.
I mean, we've met a lot of people traveling who have done that, but I don't know how much of the norm it is like in America for like the normal, I don't know, average American.
I think lately it's become, people have become very much of like, we don't need college and like college is a scam. It's become a thing.
Like people think college is a scam.
Yeah, like the amount they charge and like you can be doing. I actually heard something really interesting on a podcast. This girl was saying how when you like go on a business venture, right? So you have to spend all this money and you're taking a risk and you totally might fail. But if you're going to college, you're spending all this money, and like let's say you want to start your own business. By actually like trial and error, you learn more than like sitting in a classroom for 4 years and you're spending that much money and you leave with all this debt. Versus here, like, yeah, you might fail, so you might lose all this money, but you come out with like so much more of an experience, and then you can go into your next business venture way more experienced.
Yeah, for entrepreneurs in business, I really don't understand why you need to go to college as much as you just being like I don't know, even finding a mentor and somebody who has done what you want to do and just kind of copying them. But I think it's so reductive. There's so many reductive opinions about college on both sides, where it's like you must go, or it's like not. It doesn't work for anybody. Or
can you explain what reductive means?
Oh, would they reduce their opinions down
to like one
a
thing,
very
one
easy,
factor?
Yeah, to like a very easy opinion, which is so awful, because the fact is you kind of could get, most people kind of get where they are because of college in some way or another, depending what you want to do, right? Yeah, so it's so dependent.
I mean, it's funny because listen, it depends where you go. Like some people get really lucky and like their college years is like the most transformative years and they meet all the people that they need to meet there. And
by the way, that's a huge factor.
Yeah.
That no one takes into consideration.
And when I'm saying that, like I'm completely thinking about you when I'm saying that. Like you're networking and you're doing all these things.
It's meeting the peers who are in the industry that you're going to eventually be working with.
Yeah.
Because you guys are going to be the next generation working as filmmakers or whatever creative or whatever it is you do.
Yeah. So that's probably one really cool reason to go to college. What were you saying? Entrepreneurs also?
Yeah. Like if you're a business major, I'm sure you're meeting people, let's say, who are interested in the same kind of business as you. Maybe you even meet your business partner there, you know?
Yeah, true. But I think that when it comes to like, I don't think there's like one answer. Like, I think this is one of the things where it's like super dependent on the specific situation. You know, because like, let's say somebody who's business, if they feel like going to college is like the best way to like learn how to run a business, know marketing. Like there's probably so many classes that teach you like just all these tips on marketing. If someone thinks that that's the only way, then like, okay, they can go there. But like starting your own business or interning at a place or any of those type of things can be just as informative on like how to run a business, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you're not talking to a business major here, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either know. But I'm saying
kind
like...
of owes to your... Yeah, it kind of gives credence to what you're saying about it really being dependent, I guess.
Yeah.
So maybe we have to speak to like a business major. So, if it was worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people learn like... Because when you think about business, it's like... a lot of it comes down to a science. Of
marketing.
How to go about marketing, how to go about... advertising.
Why do people like that stuff?
It's so interesting.
Oh my God. I love the fact that there are different interests in the world. It's a good thing, but at the same time, I don't understand how you think it's like worth your attention. Yeah, like it just. Ugh.
It's like if you want to start, well, because I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start something myself. So there's this, but there's also, I mean, it's not only this. Anything that, whatever I'm going to be doing in my life, I want it to be like my own, built myself, you know? So I don't know. I actually said that once in a job interview. I wonder if that was the wrong thing to say. He was like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I was going to be like an assistant or something. I was applying for that job. And I was like, you know, honestly, like
not here.
No, I was just like, honestly, like I want to start something myself. And I don't know what. And he was like, okay. And then I didn't get the job.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that's the reason. I'm just like, manipulating the story like that, like one after the other, but it could have been whatever. It could have been he found someone else or something.
Right. On the topic of bad job, what is it? Interviews, I guess. There was this like editorial position. It wasn't even an editorial position. It was more of like an assistant position at what's that Jewish magazine that everyone reads?
Ami.
Ami.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember this. This was like the beginning of last year, right?
No,
it was right after COVID quarantine. No,
it was way before that.
Really?
It was way before. Yeah.
Okay.
But
so I guess that's when I was like working for Benos Chomish.
I think it was even before that.
Before that, we were in Florida. Like before that, then. Before that, we were babies.
Like baby years when I was just a toddler. I don't know what.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
It's enough to make me like absolutely crumble and cringe.
Was it one of your first interviews?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I was I was like young. I don't know, in the teens. I'm not sure. You
were not in the teens. We were 20. We were 20.
High, yeah, maybe 20. But she was like,
can I just say one thing before you continue? You were probably then being like, I'm so old. I'm 20 already.
Probably.
And now you're,
23
at 20.
Freaking senior.
Yeah.
Senior over here. My back is killing me already.
Yeah, continue.
Shake your head. Anyway, so by the way, my therapist says that the whole time. She's like, stop saying you're so old. What does that make me?
I'm like, how old is she?
Judy. I mean, she's older.
Yeah, there's probably nothing old. Like, imagine hearing an 18-year-old being like, I'm so old. You're like, what?
Yeah, but I really do feel like 23 and 20 are like years apart.
In stages for sure. Yeah.
Interesting conversation.
I think 22, like, you really change. I think turning 22 is a big thing.
Okay, you can make that case.
But I still don't think you're old when you're 23.
Yeah, I don't. In theory, I don't, but I feel like I am. Like, I feel like I'm too old to be like one of those people are like, wow, she's already that age and doing that stuff. You know what I mean?
Right,
like, I feel
exactly.
Like I'm past my prime.
So that's why I'm asking, like, well, first of all, that's not true. Like, there's so many people who are like, oh my God, you're 30 years old and you already like built this whole thing. And even when someone's 40 years old and they build like a huge, whatever they did, make an impact on something, it's like, no one mentions their age. It's not a factor of like amazement that you're that young, but like you still did something amazing. But do you think it's because you constantly compare yourself to like other 23-year-olds that you see that are like successful and you're like,
yeah, most probably.
Right.
It's a comparison thing. What else could it be? But anyways.
So Ami interview.
Oh my God. So the position was basically to help with putting the book together. It wasn't necessarily actually to write. I was interested in being a journalist then. Like, I wanted to write. And I think I conflated the position with being a writer, like actually being a reporter and writing for them, which is completely like a different position. Like,
right.
You can't just write because like you like writing. She's like, so why do you want this position? He's like, I was like, I like to write. And like, I like writing and the words of words. I like put together
words strung together.
And I still remember she was eating this like disgusting tuna salad as she was interviewing me.
Ew. And she was eating while she was interviewing you?
Oh yeah. And the lettuce like fell from her lips as she was like, I was like,
that's so unprofessional.
Listen, and she's like, you think you could do this? Like at the end of the interview, she's like, so you could do this? I was like, I think so. Like, she's like, are you sure? I was like, no, I'm not.
What if like the whole position, you totally misconstrued what the position was? It was like combat, like going to the military or something.
Like signs like the special forces.
Taking her like lettuce out of her teeth. Like, you sure you can do this? I'm just like painting a whole picture for myself.
Walked into the wrong thing.
She hands you a gun. She's like, all right, let's go. Out
Next thing I know, I'm president. Like,
that's.
Stop shaking.
Sorry, that's literally where your head goes to. Next thing you know, I'm like the most famous person in the world. Like,
next thing you know, I've got it all.
I'm controlling all the countries. I'm gonna say.
No, that's an 8 thing. Power.
Yeah.
On the Enneagram.
Yes. But 3s, it's like it kind of could be conflated. 3s and 8s.
I think 3s look more like 1s than any other number.
Right. I guess it depends what type of 3 you are.
But by the way, our friend who was not convinced about the Enneagram is convinced now. She said she took the test and they said that she was a 1.
She's a 1. I knew it.
We both
Wait, the one that we were discussing last night?
Yeah.
I knew it from the beginning she was a 1.
We both.
She texted you that she took the test?
No, because I texted her.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I have to convince you that the Enneagram is Tara Shebexab. And she said... she
Shebexab and what's the other one? Shebalpet.
And she said...
We talk about it all the time.
Yeah, I actually took the test and... Yeah, she took the Trudy test, which is the test that I tell people to take.
Trudy?
Trudy.com. It's
okay.
Website.
I usually don't tell people to take tests because it's always like very...
Yeah.
You have to kind of resonate with yourself. And I actually had a really interesting conversation today about the Enneagram that I could tell you about.
Yeah. With who?
With Hannah. See, I told her, I don't know, whatever, one of our friends. And I asked her if I could share her, and she said sure, but I told her I wouldn't say her name, so whatever. But you know who you are. Anyways.
You said her name.
I said Hannah. I didn't say her last name.
Okay.
I'll bleep it out. Is that a thing? Like, don't bleep it out?
Hard. That's hard to just... What? Oh, of course. There's literally only one Hannah.
Okay. Anyways, it's not for our friends to not know. It's for like random people listening to not know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just say this.
Anyways, I don't think she would mind. Anyways, we were talking about the Enneagram and we were trying to figure out what she is. And she's a 2, by the way.
What? No, she is not.
She is.
No,
we figured it out. We figured it out. We went through every single one. We were discussing.
There's just no way.
You'll discuss it with her. You'll discuss it with her. Take it up with her.
Okay.
But we were discussing like our relationship, mine and hers relationship, and how because certain things, because like all the time she's telling me like, oh my God, we're so close, and I'm like, no, we're not. Like, we literally never hang out. But for her, like, because of her personality, to her, like, if she likes someone and that person likes her, like, they're close, you know, like, they're friends. But for me, I need that quality time as a 6. I need to feel like someone's loyal to me and they'll like be there for me when I need and all that stuff. And so that's for me considered as close. So we were like discussing how that's like, and we're like, wow, like that's crazy that if like somebody's married and for them, they're like, why do you need me to be emotional or be open about things? I don't know. I show you my love through gifts or whatever. And they're like, no, I don't care about the gifts. I want to see that you really love me, do this and this and that for me. But the person's saying, I am showing that I love you by buying you gifts. There's like that whole miscommunication. But I feel like it's so powerful when you know the Enneagram that you know what people need and how people are different. Because you can really understand where problems are rooting from. So like, I get it that a lot of people are like, this is so defining, so limiting, all that stuff. But when you take the good parts of it and don't let it limit you, I think it can be really powerful in like understanding other people and understanding yourself.
100%.
So it was just an interesting conversation. It was like a cool revelation that we had.
Yeah.
Even though you don't think she's a 2, but like.
That's crazy though.
I mean,
we
also,
never considered that.
I know. That's the thing. That's the one number I never considered. And
she just doesn't read that energy at all.
I know.
That's so crazy. But yeah,
it could be she's not. It could be she's not.
Weird.
But like, yeah, that she was like, wow, yeah, I totally resonate with this.
Wow, that's crazy.
Because yeah, I don't know. She doesn't seem like one, and maybe that should like
But sometimes. That's, by the way, that's like that's end all be all. Like,
yeah, like
if a person is saying that that's what they resonate with, and it's not a horoscope. It's not like
exactly.
You can't. It's your own.
Also, like if you don't look like your number, but you really resonate with it, like. maybe you're just like a healthy person, or there's just some like coping mechanisms that you're dealing with.
I don't agree with that so much. I think you abide by this idea that you really, the more healthy you are, the less you are of your number, but I just don't think that's true. I just think you're just your healthy number. The less you look like your number.
I'm saying that like a lot of times with twos specifically, like they have a really bad rap, that they're very possessive and manipulative.
I
and
mean,
like,
it's they have a bad rap for us. You know what I mean? It's just because of our experiences.
I
With
feel like
twos.
a lot of maybe I feel like a lot of, but I feel like I hear that all the time. Like twos, like
really?
because I feel like when they're unhealthy, it's a lot in your face.
Yeah, I would love to like explain what a 2 is for people who are interested and like want to know. So maybe
go ahead.
Like,
twos.
ahead.
I mean, like twos are the basic desire and fear is like to feel loved, and that they won't be like they'll be unwanted is like their biggest fear, that they're unwanted and not like valued. So when people like don't like them or show dislike for them, they try everything in their power to get that person to like them. So it could come out possessive. Like if think of in high school, if someone has a friend and then like their friend is going and becoming friends with other people, they might get really jealous and then like really manipulative and stuff like that.
Right. And to zoom out even more, the Enneagram is a personality test, or I don't know, codification, like categories of what you are. There's numbers from 1 to 9, and every number deals with a very like fundamental human question of existence. So it's a very, very deep, and it's also you get to not pick which number you are, but you understand which number you are based on like what like perennial problem is always coming up in your life and kind of controls your behavior. So it's not the Myers-Briggs as in what kind of personality traits you have, if you're extroverted or introverted. It's not the Big Five, which is kind of just like the Myers-Briggs, but more like scientific, I guess.
Okay.
It's more like, okay, if you're a 1 on the Enneagram, that means that you are dealing with questions of morality, wanting to be right versus wanting to do the right thing all the time, wanting to feel like your life has purpose. And everybody, to an extent, has that.
Yeah.
And it's important that people because people always say that, like, aren't you everything? Yes.
Yeah, like, oh, you want to be evil? Like, no, I don't want to be evil.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, I can cross the line sometimes and like borderline,
Yeah. But for a 1 on the Enneagram, this is a kind of like moral, like a fundamental question that literally just always controls their behavior subconsciously, consciously. They want to be on the right side of history. And and the more you see which, like what the basic desire, basic fear of every number is, the more you can start to like point it out in society, like who's which. Like Taylor Swift, she's a 1.
How do you know?
Because I was watching her documentary, Miss America or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was talking about how she always felt like she had to do the right thing. And
she sounds, I mean, I always assumed she was a 2.
Maybe she's a 1 with a 2 wing.
All her freaking songs are about like boys who don't love her anymore. But
don't do that.
What?
Because she hates that criticism.
But then she does it, so I don't really understand. Like all her songs are that.
She does have a lot of love songs.
Like her songs are
not about her love life. Yeah,
I guess it's all the songs that get big.
I don't know if that's a really good song. You ever heard that?
No.
It's really pretty.
What is it about?
Her tears ricocheting.
And it's not about a boy.
It probably is. I don't know. Who cares?
No, it's not. I mean,
you're saying you thought she was a 2 because of that.
Yeah, because like everything's about that. What I care about, I don't care that everyone writes songs about breakups and all that stuff. A lot of times, but though she like she gets upset, she gets defensive about it, which is annoying because like you are writing songs, whatever. And then also she writes songs about like being sarcastic about being like boy obsessed,
Because I think the media paints her unfairly in a boy obsessed crazy
They do that
way
to everyone.
When they don't.
I think it only became her thing when her like
she
identity.
She pointed to Ed Sheeran. Like, do people do that to Ed Sheeran? making him girl obsessed or whatever? I don't think so.
No, because he's not as much like angry about it. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
she gets like her songs are like angry.
Maybe
like,
her anger is a response to people doing that to her.
I don't think like she's getting it for no reason. Like it's not like she's the only woman singer in the industry. I think she's getting it for a reason. And then she gets like really defensive about it, and it escalates it even more. Wow, we're going through like random.
Yeah, there's like no thread to this conversation.
Our topic was about college.
I mean, makes sense. We're at Taylor Swift's store right now.
It's our fashion to
weave through,
to go on tangents, as it is our fashion.
I like hopping on different stools.
Yeah. No, me too. So
you want to go back to the college topic?
We could. I mean, did you want what you were talking about the interview? Was there an end to the interview? So what?
No, I didn't get the job.
It just was totally like not the position that you thought it would be.
Yeah. I was talking about the interview because you were talking about your interview.
Right. And I was talking about my interview because I said I want to be an entrepreneur. And
we're talking about entrepreneurship because we're talking about college. There we go.
Dang. Well, how did Enneagram get in?
Oh, because you told me about power. Exactly. And okay. I said that's really just an 8 thing to do.
Yeah, that was
8s are all about power
and
control.
Yeah, so
kind of the worst.
Sorry. I mean, what do you want to explain a little bit about like what is college in terms of our community? Like, why is that like a significant enough topic to talk about? You know?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to talk about not so much like college. We all know what college is, but whether or not you think our experience of not having college as kind of the rote path for most growing like young adults is a beneficial thing, or if it's ends up hurting a lot of us.
Yeah. Just to give some context, like we also like in high school, like 12th grade, usually most like schools provide the SATs like in their school. Like kids just take it in school, and it's totally not given to us. Like we have to go and sign up online and take it in a random place.
And to also just pull it back even more, college is not something that's ever like prioritized or kind of like looked at when you're growing up.
No,
when you're like in the normal household, it's not like something that is ever like inundated inside of your like conscious when you're young in high school.
Yeah, like you have to go to college. You're not going to college. What do you mean you're not going to college? Like it's totally not like that.
That's not the experience we have.
It's like right after we finish high school, we go to seminary, which is a year where we like study like Jewish. I mean, not everyone has to, but like this is what a lot of people do. They go to seminary away, and it's basically just a place where you basically learn like a full year dedicated to learning Jewish topics, which by the way, we get credits for college. So as much as it's not like college,
but they do that because
college funds it,
because they get money.
Right.
Yeah. It's not for us.
No, I know. But I'm saying even though it's considered a gap year, you are getting credits. And then after that, people usually spend a year working for a Jewish, like a Chabad house, which is like just a center for Jewish people, or they'll, go back home and start figuring out what they want to do. A lot of people end up becoming preschool teachers and secretaries and those basic things because they're not really thought of like going to college and spending like years in medical school or like lawyers or that type of things. Like that's not like known as a thing. So yeah, that's just like the basic background of what we experience here in terms of college. But what I think about it, I don't know. At first I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. Like we're not giving any tools to like figure out what we want when it comes to college and pursuing these like amazing, big, grand careers. At the same time, I feel like now because there is a balance where like people are not telling you not to go to college. It's just like the colleges that you go to are supposed to be more Jewish, like only girls, Jewish, like Jewish run colleges. But people still like go to medical school. It's just like a Jewish college type of style thing, which is very different than the college. Because if we contrast the two different, like college in the secular world, a lot of times is like 4 years of partying, frat houses and sororities. And which, by the way, what the heck is a sorority? I've never understood what it is.
A sorority is a girl fraternity.
Yeah, but fraternity it's called?
Yeah, like a frat house.
Like that just sounds like a place where like all the guys party. But sorority sounds like you have to be accepted.
Oh, you have to do that regardless if it's a frat or a sorority.
So interesting.
That's where, hazing?
No.
You ever heard of hazing? You not heard of hazing? Oh, there's like ridiculous. Sometimes there's like these ridiculous like rituals that new guys who have to join a frat, or I don't even know if this probably happens in sorority too. They have to do like these crazy things, and like people have died from these kind of hazing rituals that they have to do. So for instance, they'll have to just like stand naked outside in like the freezing cold.
Oh my God.
Just for hours, a whole night. It's a hazing to like in order to join.
What's a haze? Hazing is a word?
It's kind of like almost like an initiation. Do you know, like in the olden days when they like a young boy was joining the tribe as a 13-year-old, like he was a young man. They did like crazy things.
Oh
like in tribes in Africa, there's this one tribe, there's this one tribe where the you have to get like bitten by fire ants, which are like, I don't know.
Yeah, they're like the most painful insect, right?
Yeah, but like multiple of them, like on your hand or something. You have to endure the pain, and once you endure it, then you're like part of it.
Right, I heard of that.
So that's kind of like where
How does the college campuses like allow these things?
So they don't.
Oh, but it's like under.
But it happens.
Yeah, like so that whole experience of like college campus and like being in dorms and like partying and all that stuff is like not what we experience. And I don't know. I feel like on one hand, yeah, like we like people. I think it could be like on a parental level, like they should like educate their children that there's a balance and you don't have to go to college and let's figure out what you want to do. Like I think figuring out what you want to do before you go to college is a big deal. Is something that you should really do. I know you have a different opinion.
Yeah.
I do. What is your opinion?
Well, just think about it from the perspective of somebody who is like in their young 20s, where we even just said before about how like we're so young then, and you really are. You don't know shit. And like the pressure of having to know what you want to do when you're most likely going to change your mind or just also have opportunities that are just you've never even thought about at that time, or just not have a grasp on all the possibilities of what you could do with your life at that time.
Yeah, and
so I think
that lends to my point.
No, it doesn't.
Because
I'll tell you how it lends to my point. I think it lends to my point because when you're that young, you should be able to experience a place like college, which could open your mind to the different possibilities of where you can go, which is one of my biggest critiques about being in this community is like, and like not encouraging, let's say, the internal exploration that I think you need to go on in order to like find what you want to do with your life, let's say, is the fact that we have just like such simplistic ideas of like, okay, you want to be a doctor? Okay, let's just think about how that's going to work with your life as a mom and have kids. Okay, sure. But did you ever think about this like interesting position as I don't know, I keep saying like film director, but like a position that you've never even understood you can acquire, because we don't think out of the box in terms of like what you could do with your career or how you can impact the world, because all we think about in terms of career is lawyer, like, do you know what I mean? Like we're almost like children with the way we think about how we could apply ourselves to the world. And college is a place that really opens up your mind. That's it. And just college gives you more of a basis to like open up your mind, just because there's so many more experienced people there who like know what they're talking about. It's about a certain industry.
Yeah, I get that point. I get the idea. First, there's a few things. I understand the point where that in college you might meet people and like your professors and all that who maybe can advise you on like which direction to go. So that's pretty cool. And I think that, yeah, it's hard, maybe it's hard to get that like that resource out of college. But the idea that like our community like doesn't want you to do like doctor and like lawyer things, I don't see that.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you were saying that like film like things that are out of the box.
Yeah, what I meant like with the doctor example, I mean like just to show how limited we are in the way we think about how you could apply yourself with the world. I'm not saying, I do think though that there is like a slight discouragement when it comes to like women trying to achieve things like becoming a doctor or a lawyer. I do think there's some adversity there, whether or not it's like at the familial level,
right?
But like, or just like there's like a gender aspect to it. I think there is, but I'm more saying that in terms of like we have like just like these typical career paths. Like when you're a little kid, I feel like we're in little like preschool when your teacher comes around and asks you, what do you want to be with your life? And there's like 5 things that you could say. One of them probably being like a princess or like, you know.
Astronaut. I mean,
astronaut. Oh my God. The funniest story. I was editing this video for my sister for kindergarten, and the kids were asking each other, what do you want to be when you grow up? And like all the boys said they wanted to be an army. They wanted to be an army. An army. Just an army.
Wait, this reminds me of a video that my brother's obsessed with, and it's so funny. I don't even know where. It's like some sort of rally, and these kids are coming up, and this lady's like, "What do you want to be?" They're like, Indian. "Oh, you know the video?
An airplane, a pilot,
grape."
Yeah. It's the weird,
and she's not even
most
like
chaotic video.
Yeah, it's like, when I grow up, I want to be in the army. And she's like, grape. Like, she's not even like...
Grape or grape?
She's saying grape, but it sounds like grape. So they put like captions and they're like, grape. And like, it's so funny because like, she's clearly not even like listening to what they're saying. She's just like, grape. And each kid's just growing up, when I grow up, I want to be a pilot. Grape. Oh my God. It's like become a thing in my family that we just like... We talk about it. We just like say that all the time. Like if someone says something, we're like, great.
Things having bad indigestion. Great.
Yeah. I thought you were actually saying we're having bad indigestion. No. So like, I see your point. At the same time,
she sees my point.
The reason why I would say like it lends to my point a little bit too is because I don't think that college needs to be
stapling your hands.
Needs to be the place where you figure out what you want to do. I think maybe going out in the world and trying out different things can actually be a better way of figuring out if you like it. Because being in a classroom setting and in a college setting is really different than getting out there. And I think like your story about the whole like Ami like interview kind of shows that, where like, yeah, you wanted to be like a journalist right away. So like you got this interview and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be a writer and like all that stuff. And it's like, that's so much, like people do that all the time where like they have a dream about something. And so they automatically like jump to the goal, to the successful part. Like, let's say even this podcast, we're starting out this podcast. It's hard not to think about like, oh my God, we're going to have like so many subscribers, like thinking about that, you know, versus just like, you have to, but you, at the same exact time, you have to enjoy the journey as well. You have to like literally enjoy every single time we're sitting here. It has to be like absolutely fun, because then it's just easy to get there. You know what I'm saying?
It makes it a lot more enjoyable.
I think that's the only way to actually be successful in what you're doing when you start something yourself, is to like,
that's the only way to define success, I think,
is to enjoy it.
Yeah. It's not to like the journey. So stupid, but yeah.
No, it's true. It's funny when people were we discussing this yesterday? I think we were. Like, yeah, I was listening to Andrew Schultz's podcast, and he was talking with this guy who was saying like how most people they're working their whole lives to do this, and they just don't get the luck to be like successful. And he was using successful as a way of being like rich and famous and getting attention from everyone. But is that successful? Like, if you're just like enjoying it, and yeah, sure, you like, obviously you don't, your work has to be going to, if you're creating a product, you want people to be using it. But like, just because not every single person in the world is using it, you're not successful. Like, then you end up in this trap where like you're comparing yourself to Joe Rogan as a podcaster. Like, he's the top. Like, even someone who's super, super famous on podcasting is not going to be as big as him. So are you not successful just because, you know, so it depends how you like define success.
Yeah. So many things depend on how you frame it perceptually, which is such a cool concept. Happiness is so like, it's so crazy how these things are malleable and they change once you change them. That's crazy. That's like a mind-blowing idea to me.
Do you think you could choose happiness?
I think it's a lot harder than people say. Because I don't think it's an easy. Personally, like, let's talk personally, having the understanding that, okay, these are my values, because at the end of the day, it's like what you value that kind of builds your perceptions. So because I value like material success, attention, fame, money. All the way I frame success is going to be according to those values. So I have to just reorient my values. That how the hell do you do that? That's a very hard process. That's like to at just the core, change, like
literally change your nature.
Yeah. And to me, I don't know. Because there's nothing that I want more in my life than the ability to just change it on a dime. Well, I think it happens. Yeah, it happens at times. Like it happens just randomly for me, so it's not trackable, and therefore it's useless.
but think about like I'm always bumping into this freaking thing. Think about like you're like dieting, like you're very into health and fitness, and so you track like your macros and you track your calories, and like you figured out, obviously with the help of others, how to get this like perfect healthy lifestyle system, and maybe you can apply like the same logic to like your values, where it's like, these are all my values. These are values that I want to like change, or maybe not change, but like make healthier. How can I
emphasize more, or like understand more? Yeah.
How can I track it, and how can I don't know.
You're saying I take that part and like
make a macro calculator for values. That simple, but right? It's interesting that you brought that up, because I was thinking the same exact thing for happiness. Because a lot of times people, if you say like choose happiness, or people think about happiness as like a singular thing, but happiness is like a product of a bunch of factors. When I think of happiness, I think of like a big circle in the middle, and then like the spider chart. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where like there's a bunch of sticks, and then like there's circles out.
Okay, what about that?
So like that's basically like all those little circles around it is like what's affecting your happiness.
Got it.
And the middle is the happiness. So if you could figure out what causes you to be happy, what causes people to be happy, I don't know if it's a general thing or if it's a personal thing, then that's choosing happiness. Not necessarily being like, I'm going to be happy today. And then like, no matter what's happening, like, oh, too bad, I'm going to be happy today. It's like, what on the outside is affecting your happiness, you could change. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, what's like an example of a circle that is connected to your internal?
Maybe family time.
Right.
So you're not placing enough value on your family time, but really when you do spend a lot of time with your family, you just feel like a happier person.
So how would that understanding affect, let's say, a dark period that you're going through during the day?
I don't think it's good. It's so linear. I think it's like it's a longer period of time. Like you spend more time with family over time. I'm just choosing one random example, but like you spend more time with family over time. So you're saying you grow that bubble. You're just like, you become this happier person. And then when you are dealing with something during the day that's like really dark, you still have that inner like happiness, you know?
You can always go back to understand, okay, then I have that solid base. You're saying, is that it for you?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm saying.
Why? I think it makes a lot of sense.
I don't really understand, because I don't really know what. Maybe like going through something bad during your day is like different than your inner happiness. Like what happens to you and stuff. Like that's something you obviously have to deal with, but that doesn't like you can have a bad day, but still be like a generally overall happy person.
Yeah.
Having that you can have that inner happiness, but still go through.
Yeah. struggles. So I mean, I guess it goes down to like, how do you define happiness?
Yeah. Like, is happiness based on
the pure emotion of joys, or like internal contentness? Because that's what it sounds like you're.
Yeah, that's what I'm
describing more than like the emotion of happiness, which is different, I think. But yeah, I think that's a good method to think about it as like, okay, how could I cash in on all the great things that I have in my life? Because that's what I think about it. Like when I'm going through something, like when I'm going through a hard time, I like think about why am I letting this affect me this much when I have like 5 things on the top of my mind that I can say that I'm literally lucky, like straight up lucky to have in this experience of my life. And like, how can I like reorient to make sure that those things more like impact me in a way where like this doesn't seem like it's so, this experience I'm having where it's like really dark doesn't seem so catastrophic. But at the same time, I don't know if that helps so much to be like, just be grateful for what you have when you're like going through something really intense. Like,
I don't think that's what I don't think that's what it is. I think your ability to have like an inner contentness and like happiness can affect can influence the way you deal with hard times. I think you can probably deal with hardships more like effectively, maybe, when you have that inner happiness.
Yeah.
Versus when like you have nothing that like makes you just like, I mean, I don't know, like if you don't have like your basic needs.
I mean, that really puts a lot of people, I guess, a lot of people that I'm saying who probably aren't listening to this podcast, but people who are like legitimately in like below zero of like their of human experience at like a really bad place. What about them?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, also like, we went to South Africa and we went to like Soweto.
Yeah.
You remember? Like they're living in
crazy
pure poverty, but they don't seem sad. They don't seem not happy.
Yeah.
But maybe they just don't know what they're missing. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't like to like, I don't know.
Is oblivion bliss? Is that the saying? Oblivion is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss.
Okay, yeah.
That's the saying. The saying is ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss. Is ignorance bliss?
Is ignorance bliss? In a way, right? Like, people. Have you ever read Flowers for Algernon?
No.
I'm sure you did though.
We had it in high school, but
that's what I was saying.
I was never a good student.
You never, you know?
I didn't read it.
Okay.
But I should. It's a good book,
some of my favorite books are still from high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one I read was The Giver. The Giver. And
I actually don't like The Giver.
And then there were none.
We read And Then There Were None in high school?
I think in 8th grade. No?
Oh, in 8th grade? Oh.
And then 12 Angry Men was good.
12 Angry Men was great. Watch the movie.
Yeah.
Scott Lieb.
I don't remember. And then I think that's all the books.
The Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, I didn't read the Alice in Wonderland. I read The Animal Farm.
It's a great book also. Did we do it 1984? I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Oh.
We did the one I read was Rolling Thunder, Hear My what is it?
Rolling Thunder, Hear My Cry.
Hear My Cry.
Yeah.
I think that one I read.
That, yeah. Or the balloon one, or the Pearl.
Oh, the 21 Balloons.
Dude, now we're getting into elementary school books.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah, the 21 Balloons. Was it 21 Balloons?
He like went around the whole world.
No, that's Around the World in 80 Days.
No, really? So that's 21 Balloons.
I don't know. Wait, 21 Balloons is a song that we heard in Mrs.
No, it's a book.
Class.
He like travels the world on all his balloons. Maybe I'm mixing up like so many things.
Are you mixing up the Disney movie?
I don't know. Basically, I didn't read much of the books in high school.
The Flowers for Algernon is just one of those books that like makes that question. It's like that's the question of the book. And it is that book will kill you. Read it. Oh,
I read it.
Yes,
okay,
read it and tell me
next
what you
time.
think.
I'll let you know what I think. Hopefully
it's
I'll wait for next time.
Should I really want to get a Kindle,
about? So like it's just easy to read. I think I'm gonna buy myself a Kindle.
Kindles take away from the experience of reading.
I hear you, but I don't hear you because like it's there's nothing else on the Kindle besides for the book. And buying a book and reading a book couldn't have like is easy. It's big.
Yeah,
it's
yeah. It definitely makes it portable, easy to carry. You can have multiple things. It's just like the experience of actually having a book. There's something tactile about it.
I think it'll be outdated soon.
Yeah, but that's so sad.
I don't think it is. Like you're reading a book whether it's on a screen or not. You still are.
Well, Kindle has like settings to make it look as if you're reading from a newspaper. It's pretty cool, actually. It's crazy. Actually.
They're expensive though.
Are they?
Like $300.
Really? I didn't know that.
But maybe I'll buy one.
But also, yeah, no. I just
what?
I mean, get a Kindle if it's going to make you read, but like read from real books.
The only book I've like immensely enjoyed and read like all through is
the Enneagram book.
No, come on.
Wait, don't tell me.
In quarantine, I read it.
Oh, Harry Potter.
Yeah. I didn't grow up reading Harry Potter, and then quarantine hit, and Kai's like, you have to read Harry Potter. You and Firma were telling me like you have to read Harry Potter, and I was like, oh, fine, I'll read it. And I had the first book at my house, so I read it, and then I just literally read it all the way through.
Yeah, that's.
And my mother is so funny because my mother didn't either ever read it, and I started reading it, and she was like, let me check this out. And she also like, if I would ever try to like give spoils, she was like freak out, but she still till this day will never admit that she like loves it. You know?
Yeah,
like,
she's a 4. She needs to be different.
Don't tell her she's a 4. She's gonna freak out.
I know. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you like that series. Like, I would have been upset if you didn't like Harry Potter.
Oh yeah, come on.
Yeah.
I don't like the movies though. Hot take.
You're crazy. The movies are so...
Stop
touching the mic.
Hate the movies. Okay, so Flowers for Algernon basically talks about ignorance is bliss. So what's the conclusion of it? Ignorance is not bliss, or is like up for interpretation?
I don't know if so much like he has one side of the argument as much as the author, I think his name is Daniel Keyes or something like that, makes like this. Should I tell you a little bit about what the book is about?
Yeah.
You just admitted that you're never going to read it. But
no,
okay.
no, that's not true. You can tell me. Well, did you watch a documentary?
No, I haven't.
You said you will.
But I will, but also like we already discussed it.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? So like I wonder if like, I mean, we could still discuss it because then I'll probably have more thoughts. But like, oh my God, that's crazy. I was thinking about
There's way more in it that's like that
crazy.
I didn't explain. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. So
yeah. So the book is about basically this man. He undergoes some sort of experiment that gives him adds IQ.
He's like born with no IQ, right? Not no IQ, but very low IQ.
Yeah.
I started reading it. And it's written as it's written very like low, very childish, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember if the entire book is like written through this guy's journal.
Okay. Yeah. It's something like that.
I think it is actually.
Yeah.
So the beginning of him, when you're like, he has the IQ of like a 5-year-old or something. You see how he's like misspelling words,
right,
and how he's like very simplistic thinking. And then as the experiment starts to work, you see him start to grow not only vocabulary, but like in the way he thinks and the way he understands the world. And it gets to a point where you're like, how can this guy possibly get smarter? And he does get smarter, and then becomes self-aware of the fact that he's going to lose his smartness because the experiment was faulty or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's honestly, it's so sad. It's like
that sounds sad because like they're clearly taking advantage of someone who has no choice in the matter, right? Or he chooses to do this.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, did he have capacity to choose?
Right. It also reminds me of the book The Giver. It's kind of also the same theme as ignorance bliss. Everyone kind of doesn't have emotions, and everything's black and white, and then but
like the Matrix type of thing.
But it comes with with a price, because as much as you can't feel pain, you can either feel like the joy of like the scene where he like goes on the snow, like snow is cold and it's like seems bad, but then also you can't like go sledding down the hills.
There's so many of these things in like real important literature and books. It's like 1984 is all about. Well, more like not 1984. What's that other book? Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. You ever read that?
No.
You have to read that too.
You have to send me your list of books, and I'm gonna get a Kindle and start reading. I
mean, yeah.
Like I don't promote the Kindle part, but
yeah, exactly.
I don't condemn.
What do you think? You'd rather
I don't think. Yeah,
and truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
Most of us would.
Yeah. No, I don't think. I think some people would choose ignorance.
That's sad. I mean, I get it though.
I mean, I understand. I do, but
I think most people do actually.
You think people do in real time, like choose ignorance?
Yeah.
In what way?
In the same way that we talked about last podcast about not choosing to think about things. I don't think they chose in ignorance.
You're talking about the FLDS community?
FLDS community? I don't think people in our community. I think it is.
I think they're
I think not choosing is also choosing.
You know what that reminds me of?
No, don't say like the leftists.
No, it reminds me of a scene in.
What?
A scene in.
What? Why are you doing this to me? Like testing my knowledge about how well I listen to you this fun? I don't know.
I've seen a New Girl.
Oh, obviously.
They're like sitting. Reagan's like talking to Nick and Winston, and she's like, "Do you guys choose anything ever?" And Nick's like, "Well, first of all," or Winston's like, "Well, first of all, you got to choose if you're going to choose something." So Nick's like, "It's kind of what you said, like not choosing is choosing."
That is such a good show. It is not making a decision is also deciding to not make that decision. So yeah, I agree.
I'm
with
talking
Winston,
about the capacity.
Winstonian philosophy.
I'm not talking about choosing not to choose. I'm talking about not having the capacity to choose. They don't even know they're in a situation where, you know what I'm saying? They're being abused without even knowing it.
So I think that there's an end point to that. I'm not sure when it starts, but I think that there's an end point to that. Meaning, if you're a kid and you're 18 or not, these, how old were they? 14?
Yeah.
And being forced to marry. Yeah, I don't think they had a choice. Because I also don't think they had the capacity to like understand that they have their autonomy.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't even have the autonomy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like the adults surrounding that person,
do you think they
I don't think they have the same responsibility. I could lend them the same credence that you would lend that girl.
Like, even though they were growing up learning these things, it's all they knew, no exposure to anything else. We're going back to last week's podcast.
I know.
Topic. I mean, we can kind of parlay this into college, because we can talk about, do people. Connie's calling me. What time is it?
6:18.
Let me tell her we're recording.
It dripped and it's so cold.
Should we answer and ask her if she thinks ignorance is bliss?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should call her.
Yeah.
Okay, Connie, but I have to let her know that we're on the potty. I don't know why I call it the potty.
Oh my! I literally just thought of a potty. Ignorance is not bliss. Straight up, especially with all the trauma research that's being done.
She's gonna say no.
It's just embodied. Hey, do you think ignorance is bliss?
This podcast is sponsored by Talking Photography. She has an amazing studio. Go check her out on her Instagram. She is New York based, and she'll do newborn photography, family photography. Check her out on Instagram at Talking Photography, and on her website, talkingphotographystudios.com, to see her rates and to book a session now. Thank you, Talking Photography.
It's a good question. I mean, I think being in that position, you don't see or know, so definitely living in a certain reality, but I think it always catches up to you, and I think that there's effects that ignorance can have on you without, like, maybe not consciously, but things can be happening to you or around you that are a result of your ignorance. And so
would you choose ignorance for bliss?
Personally, no.
If it was sustainable, you wouldn't choose it still?
No.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Agreed.
Thanks for your answer.
Yep, we agree.
We'll see you soon. Okay. Yeah, I guess it's there's two questions in it. Is ignorance bliss? Yeah, obviously. If you're ignorant and you're not exposed to all these like terrible pain and stuff, it's bliss. But would anyone choose it? No, no one wants to choose it, because if you choose ignorance, you're also taking away all the great pleasures, with all the. I remember Ben Shapiro always said this all the time, like the levels of love that you feel for your child is going to be the same level of pain that you're going to feel for your child.
Yeah.
So it's like
a really cool idea.
Yeah, it's parallel to each other. I don't know if parallel is the right word, but
yeah. Although I also think that not necessarily, if you're going to opt out of ignorance, should you do it because there might be greater pleasures at the other side. I think you should opt out of ignorance because it's a better world to live in when people are striving to live honestly and truthfully.
Yeah. Without
ignoring things that might cause pain. Because I don't think you can avoid pain. Life is not about the avoidance of pain.
But the question is, if it's sustainable, would you choose it? If you could ignore it, and like you lived in the world like the giver, right? Like you still have people around you, and you're like learning, you're going to school, but there's just people on top of you that are controlling you, but you don't know that. You don't know that they're controlling you.
I mean, it's the Matrix is what it is. You ever seen that scene where he's like, he says you could take the red or the blue pill, and the red pill is basically him like being shot out of this world where everyone's like attached to like no, they're living the simulation basically. Right. It's really
And what
creepy.
Does he choose?
The red pill. That's the whole movie, because he's like, I'd rather opt out for the truth. So.
Yeah, I think most people would choose.
And it was a way harder life.
Yeah. Because also...
I'm about to murder this bitch.
You're about to watch a murder. I also think that, yeah, people... what was I going to say? People need, like... I think humans, we need adversity and struggle to feel like we're moving somewhere and accomplishing things, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's a necessary thing.
Jordan Peterson says that all the time. Well, he doesn't say it all the time, but he says, what is that saying? Like, even if we had all the cake, you know, they say like the cake in the world or something. Okay. We want to like, even if we had everything we'd want, we'd mess it up just to like,
right.
Just to like make things exciting.
Yeah.
Again.
I mean, that's what they talk about nowadays. Like compared to like our ancestors and like back in the day when they had real issues, they were actually starving and they had to like fend for themselves.
Real issues now.
What?
You're okay.
No, I'm saying compared to the quality of life before, like, you know, just talk about America, let's say, because I don't, you know, kids in Africa are still starving. But I'm saying, our ancestors were suffering way more and they had to fight way more. Our quality of life is like way better, but kids these days still like they discovering that they still have so much anxiety about like different things, and people say it's because we don't have those struggles. We need to find certain struggles to have.
God,
I don't know.
That is the worst take ever.
Sorry.
No. I'm not like blaming you for bringing that up, but it's just, God damn it, try to find the worst way to frame that issue.
I mean, what do you think it is then? Why are kids in this day and age where life is like so good, you know, for the most part, you know, why do you think people who have like normal families and stuff are still like going through anxiety?
I mean, damn, if I could know. I just don't think like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's one of those questions that like everyone does their research papers on that question of why is anxiety, depression and suicide through the roof? Right. I mean, there's probably some mix of that where it's like, yeah, life is so good. Why are we feeling like that? But just don't know if that's a helpful way to frame it.
I think there's a point to it. I don't know if I have no idea on statistics about anxiety and causes and all that stuff. Like I'm not educated at all, so I can't speak on that. But I do think there is an idea of like when people don't struggle with adversity. I said this like a million times in this podcast, but like when people don't struggle, they form some sort of anxiety and like you look at like childhood actors or people who became famous from when they're really young, and like they just get whatever they want. Their adults are listening to them, you know, they're the ones giving the bills and like all that type of stuff. Like they develop other issues because they're not struggling like a normal child needs to struggle, right? Like we talk about how sports are so good for children because they face like losing sometimes or not being as good, and they have to fight to the top. They have to compete.
So you're saying that people at the top don't have to compete anymore. That's why they deal with mental issues.
I think there's an idea to that. I don't know all the factors that go into it, but I think when you don't have to struggle at all, when you become famous right away and completely rich when you're a child, you never had to fight for those things. There's definitely something there.
I don't know.
Well then,
I don't know if I really understand so much about this idea. I mean, I think we need adversity because I think that's what life is. It's facing a challenge, becoming a better person, then facing the next challenge, becoming a better person. It's just like this whole process. But I think everyone goes through that regardless of where you are or what like status on the hierarchy you are. I do think so in some form of another. I don't know why, like how that could like, if you could make like a linear line to that being like why some people
like what adversity is someone like who's health. What adversity is somebody who's like a child actor who became famous like from when they're young. Take someone like Justin Bieber or anyone. What adversity are they facing?
Well, according to Justin Bieber's song, one of his songs, that like he feels like nobody, like I'm sure you feel really isolated in a way where it's like everyone knows you. Everyone thinks they know
lonely.
You.
It's called lonely. Yeah. But
that was like a good. Yeah, I think that was a good articulation of maybe what it must feel like to be. I don't want to feel bad for celebrities. That's
Yeah,
your
it's
empathy
like,
can go to a lot better places, I feel. But
For
at
sure.
the same time, like,
yeah, no, you think about that and then you're like, ooh, perspective, like, you know?
yeah, like, God damn it, you're living in a freaking mansion in Hollywood. You could.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, why do they have such problems? Like, they can almost pay for their problems to go away, you know?
Because people always have problems.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't build that character of like.
I just think that like no
challenge
matter where
and
you are, you'll
overcome.
always have those problems too, though. For sure.
I think it has to do with the not facing real problems, real issues from
What's
growing
real
up.
issues?
Real issues is when you struggle for money, when you have to work for your money, when you have to actually
Maybe they
struggle to
did.
have
What
friends.
about the celebrities who have worked for their money?
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about child actors who like famous from when they're a kid. They didn't have to like do anything, you know. It just fell into their lap. Miley Cyrus, like Demi Lovato, the people who are just like so famous from when they're so young.
Yeah, but our broader conversation wasn't about those specific people.
Well, I brought it up because I'm talking about people who don't face adversity ever, or never really had to. They never really had to face real life problems.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. All their problems are in this huge mansion, and with everyone who will do anything for them, or they can get whatever they want. There's something to that where it's like messes you up a bit. You know, you're not building. You're not forced to build character.
Right, like the natural consequences.
You're sought out no matter what. Like you're just
right. Yeah, fame definitely messes with you.
So I have a question. Like, is our topic? Do we just not name this our topic? It's like this is miscellaneous. Should we call this a miscellaneous topic?
I think it's about college.
Totally.
That's mostly what we talked about here.
Well, what would be your conclusion about? Because I guess what I would say about college is and how we're brought up with it. Overall, in my experience, I like it, but I can't discount. I like the way we go about it.
I like it.
I like the way that we go about it because I feel more of like a freedom to choose, but maybe because I was given that. Like, you know, my parents weren't like, you can't go to college or you have to go to college. It was more like, if you want to, sure, like go for it, but also start your own thing if you need to, and you don't need to go to college. And I feel like in the secular world, it's the opposite extreme where you must go to college. A lot of times. I'm not saying all the time. And if you don't go to college, like, are you a failure? Are you dumb? Like, what are you doing? You know? So I feel like it sometimes gives autonomy to people to figure out what they want to do. And I don't think you necessarily need to be in college to figure out what you want to do. I think you could take 2 years gap, get your hands dirty in the real world, get experience, do different experiences. I mean, right after seminary, we went and we were running programs. We were kind of doing PR and marketing with all those like flyers that we had to make. We were creating events. Like that was really getting into the real world and doing things. And you realize that's not for you. And I realize it's not for me either. But like, and we also spent
you realize how much you hate it.
We kind of like figured out what marriage life might be like. Clean the dishes, clean the chicken. I would wash out her freaking chicken for dinner. You would wash out the chicken, take out all the fat.
We made a good couple.
Yeah, we did.
Excuse me?
We did.
Agree with me right now.
It was funny when we were in the office. We were in an office with like, it was us and then like a bunch of other rabbis. And we would argue a lot of the time about different things. And one time we were arguing and we hear like through the walls, like the rabbi being like, stop cat fighting. This is such a weird way to say it. Cat fighting.
So sexist.
But yeah, like I think we got a lot of experiences because we weren't forced to go to college at 18 years old. 18 years old, all you want to do is party and like
that was the
hook
original.
up
That was
and
the
all
original idea for this podcast. I'm not angry about it. I'm glad that we went on the tangents we did, but the original idea was to talk about how many experiences we got in before we decided, let's say, to either go to college or to not or whatever.
Yeah.
Traveling. I'm saying
traveling.
Most of the people that I've spoke to the secular world have not.
Yeah.
They've not traveled. And I feel like travel is so important. Like I feel like it's an important thing for so every person to do. Like it's people say important.
And people say they don't have money. We were completely broke.
You could really do.
And we went to Thailand
with very, very little money in your pocket.
Just save up babysitting money.
You might be hungry.
Do some car washes.
Make some friends. Seriously,
make some friends. Yeah,
like in the places you're gonna go.
Share your Venmo. You know.
Anyways, I really think my opinions do stray a little bit from yours on college.
So what's your conclusion?
Yeah, I'll conclude about it all. I mean, how do I put this? I don't want to like put such emphasis on the dichotomy of like career versus your life, or like the fact that you need to be a mother or whatever.
Right.
But
you feel like that people use that as an excuse to like not push you to go to college
sometimes. But what I'm saying is, if a career matters to you, like if you feel like you have something to give, which I think most people do. Most people have something to give.
Something unique to give?
Yeah. You know, and I've met so many people where it saddens me to think that they don't think about like their talents in a way where they can actually improve the world through like
most of the time people like are scared of what other people are going to think.
Yeah.
Especially when we're in like such an insular community.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I'm saying that we do this is like people.
Oh, this podcast you're saying?
Yeah, like I'm saying, like when people like when we do this amount of people are like, wow, you're so brave. I'm like, we're talking into that mic, you know?
Do you know those like half-handed, like what are they? Backhanded compliments. Oh, you're so brave. Oh my God. Like, ew.
I don't think like the person who tried to be meant it like that, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about. I know who said that compliment.
Who? No.
Okay. No. Just gonna have a little talk with her.
So what's
most people don't have bad intentions when they're giving backhanded compliments, but it's a backhanded compliment.
It like comes from there, but they don't realize that it comes from there.
It comes from a place where it's like, yeah, like, or you know, if you lost a lot of weight.
I think sometimes it's projection on the person's side. If a person's not intending to do it and like you take it as a backhanded compliment, a lot of times it's your projection of like your insecurity. So you're like, oh my God, they meant it like that.
No, I don't think so. No, you're not like thinking, oh, they meant it like that. It's like the compliment presides on like a fundamental presupposition that is negative. So like, wow, you look so great right now. And after you lost like a ton of weight, what's the presupposition is that you didn't look good before because you had so much weight.
That is it, and you know that as a person, like you do look better.
But
I don't see that as a backhanded compliment.
It is a backhanded compliment.
A backhanded compliment is like
it's directly drawing from the fact that you didn't look good because you had more weight. So the person is basically saying that you didn't look good when you had that weight. And that's what they thought about you when you had that weight.
No, I would say like
that is a backhanded
I would say a backhanded compliment would be like, wow, that dress is like so flowy. It gives you like, it makes you look better. Like it shows less of you. Like that would be a backhanded compliment. Like complimenting the dress, but really like,
what?
I just made that up in my mind.
Someone like, gives you a dress and you compliment your dress. They say it shows less of you. Like I've never gotten that.
Or like, wow, those glasses take away from your eyes. They're so pretty, you know, like. They show less of your eyes.
No, what you're saying is outright like mean things hidden in a compliment.
Backhanded compliments.
They're not backhand. Those are just mean comments. Wow. Oh my God. I'm so glad I don't see so much of you because that dress is blocking you. That's not a compliment. That's just rude.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like,
like,
no, okay, fine. But one more thing. So I just want to conclude your thoughts. Like, besides for like getting our hands dirty, but like, I don't want to keep on saying that. Yeah. No, but like in our community, what's your overall is like, you don't like the way we go about the whole college thing.
No, I think you're lying.
I feel like it's like a common thing. Like Chaya doesn't like the way, and I like the way. Because I think I disagree with people like putting pressure on like people not going to college. I disagree. Maybe we should have gotten a little direction in high school of the different options that's out there. I don't agree with the idea of people who say in our community there are people who say you shouldn't go to college, it's bad.
That's the education you would get.
That's in high school.
That's the education that I've gotten.
Yeah, but I do like my experience of it because we weren't pressured at all to go to college and told to do a little bit of different things. We went a little bit of a different way. I think we overall got like a net benefit of trying out different things, going traveling, doing things in the real world. And I think that's the way people should go about it. From 18 to 20 years old, spend 2 years doing things other than sitting in a classroom. Take a break from the classroom. Go do other things. And then once you get to, and then you can figure out, oh, I want to be a doctor. Wow. I volunteered for a hospital. I want to be a doctor.
It wouldn't hurt to spend some time spend some time away from school after high school.
Be a little bit in the real world.
Travel. Everyone
rent an apartment with your friends.
Or solo travel.
Do something.
All right. Thank you so much for listening.
Do not. Okay, wait. Goodbye.